one team. One dream. One family.
30, 20, 10, touchdown Miami! One, two, three,
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Wednesday, February the 25th. I am your host, Mike Oliva, flying solo today. As a couple topics I want to talk about here in the world of the Miami Dolphins. Malik Willis is obviously a hot topic this week at the NFL Scouting Combine. You know, will the Miami Dolphins be interested? Won't they be interested? Is he going to be too expensive and out of their range? There is rampant speculation all over the map on Malik Willis and the Miami Dolphins. Will they? Won't they? So we're going to talk about that on today's show. Also going to talk about John Eric Sullivan as well, because I've been watching, you know, he met with the media yesterday at a formal press conference. He also did some interviews as well with Sirius XM NFL Radio, with the Rich Eisen show and such. And there's one thing very evident about our new general manager that I love, I love this about him. And I'm going to talk about that too on today's show. Before we get to that, as always, this show is brought to you by Caneswear. Everyone go to the website, caneswear.com, for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. If you need a Miami Dolphins hat, hoodie, t-shirt, golf shirt, polo, something for the home, something for the car, something for the office, go to caneswear.com. They will have you covered. They ship internationally as well, which just makes it even better. Caneswear.com, caneswear.com, caneswear.com. Check them out before you go anywhere else. What else we got here today? We also want to give a shout out to everyone watching at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com for the largest. Is it the largest? Oh, I'm sorry here. Something just popped up on my screen here, having some technical difficulties. Okay, let me start over. Everyone go to finheaven.com, the largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Sorry about that. Finheaven.com. Also, a shout out to the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. All right, let's get into this. Before I get to the Malik Willis stuff, the team at Spotrac, who are outstanding with the contract stuff, absolutely outstanding. They put all the numbers, the official numbers for Tua's contract and how much Miami will have to eat this year in dead money and eat next year in dead money. And there's four options, essentially. Option one, which is not going to happen, outright release pre-June 1st. That means the Miami Dolphins eat $99.2 million of dead money this year, no dead money in 2027. John Eric Sullivan, he addressed this at his media session on Tuesday. Unlikely, not going to happen. If the Miami Dolphins decline an option they have in his deal and do a post-June 1st release, this is the most likely scenario. This year, they eat $67.4 million in dead money. Next year in 2027, they eat $31.8 million in dead money. Another option they could do is if they exercise an option in his contract and do a post-June 1st release, that means this year, the numbers change slightly. They eat $55.4 million in dead money, but next year they eat $43.8 million in dead money. And there's a fourth option, which gets really complicated, where they exercise the option in his contract, convert the base salary over like a signing bonus, and then release him post-June 1st. That means this year they would only eat $25.172 million, but next year they would eat $74 million, and that's not going to happen because they're trying to get out from the salary cap hell. They don't want to have $74 million of dead money next year with Tua. So, like I said, option two of $67.4 million of dead money this year seems the most likely, and then in 2027 it'll be $31.8 million of dead money. Of course, if they can trade him, all this stuff changes, but as we said yesterday with the report, a trade is very much unlikely. Okay, let's talk Malik Willis. It is the NFL Scouting Combine, and all the top college athletes are there in Indianapolis to meet with teams. And for, most of the players are going to run drills and do workouts. Not all the players. Some guys don't do that, but they still meet with the teams. And you got 32 general managers in town. They're talking trades. They're talking with agents off the record, of course, because no one's technically a free agent until a couple weeks from now. And the one guy, the one free agent who, soon to be free agent, who is getting the most interest is Malik Willis. NFL.com this week, they put out a poll, or they did a vote, like poll, I guess, sort of ranking all the free agents. He was voted the number one free agent this offseason. And as John Eric Sullivan said on Tuesday, any team that needs a quarterback is going to have some level of interest in having an internal conversation about whether they should or shouldn't sign Malik Willis. There are some reports that Willis could get upward of an average of $30 million per season. NFL insider Jordan Schultz, he reported today on Wednesday that from people here talking to from the teams that are, have some interest in Willis, that it is a foregone conclusion that Willis will get at least $30 million per year. And at that number, if that number is real, and again, numbers are spoken about this time of year at the combine and such, doesn't mean sometimes it's real. Sometimes it's an agent pumping stuff out. Sounds like Jordan Schultz, though, he got this from teams, so it might be more real than some other reports out there. That's a lot of money. Especially, it's a lot of money. If that's what the market is, that's what the market is. But if you're the Miami Dolphins, it's a lot of money because of the dead cap money that we just sort of spoke about with Tua Tagovailoa. And many think that if it gets up to like on an average of $30 million or more per year, that the Miami Dolphins might not, he might be out of their range financially just because of their salary cap situation. And that's true. Could be the point. I will say this, though, two things. Talk is cheap. Many general managers and many owners will say one thing, but when it's time to put pen to paper, they get cold feet. They have second thoughts. So just because that's sort of being talked about out there and whatnot doesn't mean it's a reality. Okay. People change their minds. People say one thing, then they do another. And, here's the thing with Willis. I think he's a very good player. I think there's a lot of upside there. With that said, he only has 6 NFL starts in his life. So as a team, are they going to pay a guy who's only had 6 NFL starts in his life $30 million per season for at least 2 seasons at least? I don't know. Once again, it only takes one team to do it, and then that's his market. So we'll see. And, Sullivan, he spoke to the media on Tuesday when he was asked about Willis. I'll read the answer real quick, verbatim. This is right from John Eric Sullivan. I'm very happy for Malik on a personal level. Malik is a very, very good kid. The level of interest in him is a testament to him and how he played and the opportunities that he got. As it pertains to the Miami Dolphins, listen, I think I'd be lying to you. Any team that is potentially in a needy quarterback situation, if they tell you they're not talking about Malik Willis, that would be a lie. But we've talked about a lot of people, a lot of free agents. Malik's just one of them. We have an idea what that's going to look like in our room. Is it going to be multiple draft picks? Is it going to be a free agent along with Quinn? Who knows? We have so many factors in play. We've got a lot of decisions to make as we move through the next couple of weeks. But I wish Malik the best. I have a lot of like for the human being. He's a great kid. Now, that's just a simple answer that any GM would give about like any free agent, especially one that the general manager would actually know the person personally from his last stop, like we have here in this situation. And I see a lot of people in the media, both national and local, and I see a lot of fans of the Dolphins trying to read into this answer to draw their own conclusion about what John Eric Sullivan meant by his answer there. And I believe that's a very dangerous game to be playing. Like I said, that was a very simple answer about an impending free agent. Sullivan and Hafley have ties to him from their time in Green Bay. He said Malik's a good person and a good kid. He wished him well, but that's where fans are reading into this. When he said, but I wish Malik the best, meaning Some people think John Eric Sullivan's talking in code like, yeah, but we aren't interested. That's why I'm wishing him the best. I do not read it that way at all. That's just a friend wishing another friend the best as he embarks on a life-changing time in his life where he's going to get life-changing money for all the hard work he's put in over the years. I don't see that as John Eric Sullivan say, hey, wish you the best. I'm not interested. And that's not how I took that. And the reason is because John Eric Sullivan, when he spoke to the media yesterday, when he did the Rich Eisen interview, he did the one on Sirius XM, which, by the way, if you missed either one of those, they're up on my Twitter feed at DolphinsTalk. Check them out. He was very open in that media session on Tuesday, almost, too open. But the one question he kind of tap danced around was that answer right there about Willis. And this might be a case of him playing his cards close to his vest, not to let on how much interest or how much non-interest he might have in Willis, because that was the one topic he was somewhat vague about. Because when he was talking about Waller, he said he's pretty much gone. When he was talking about Minka and Tua, he was brutally honest, want to trade him. When he spoke about Hill, he's like, older, makes a lot of money, injury concerns. We had to move on. We had to get younger and cheaper. Like, he was brutally honest. To the point when it came to the draft, he gave away his whole strategy. We're drafting a quarterback. We're going to build from the inside out. We have to get taller wide receivers. Like, these are things most general managers, keep close to their vest, because if you're in round 4 and Miami hasn't picked a wide receiver yet, and there's one wide receiver who's 5'9.5" and one who's 6'2", and you want the guy who's 6'2", now, Miami, they might be interested. He wants tall wide receivers. He didn't hold nothing back. He showed his cards on a lot. But on Willis, he really didn't. And again, I have no idea if Miami wants Malik Willis. I don't know. We've heard Halfley and John Eric Sullivan, say nice things about him, but that's just being a professional. I don't read anything into that. Like, I don't read anything into the quote that Sullivan said yesterday. But here's the deal. Those two guys know him the best, as well as all the other Packers assistants that have now migrated to South Florida and Miami. And if they feel Willis gives them the best chance to win, and they feel he's a guy we can win with, then I fully expect them to go all in. Maybe not all in, but to go in and make a serious push to get him. And it's not just me saying it, because NFL reporter Seth Walder of ESPN put out an article today on Wednesday predicting who will be the week 1 starting quarterback of every NFL team in 2026. Drum roll, please. For the Miami Dolphins, it was, wait for it, Malik Willis. And he says, I won't read the whole thing, it's rather long. Let me be the millionth person to connect the Packers backup quarterback to the Dolphins, but I think Miami is Willis's most likely landing spot. And he goes on and says why, for all the reasons, the ties to Halfley and stuff like that, and John Eric Sullivan. So I've sort of, I feel this way about this topic. There's 2 things to keep in mind. Number 1, I know there's all those reports that Willis was going to get like $30 million per year on average. I still have a hard time believing that for a guy who's actually started 6 games ever, and 3 of them were really bad with the Titans. So I don't, I know that's what the reports say, but my spidey senses are going off saying, I'm not so sure about that. And there's a lot of conflicting reports out there. If as fans, some fans who feel strongly one way or another, they're going to gravitate to the report that backs up their, stance or belief. And then you got the other people who feel the other way. They're going to run to the reports that back up their stance and relief, and how they feel on this, I should say. So, you take everything with a grain of salt. But to me, here's the long and short of it. Well, I think Malik Willis ending up in Miami is unlikely, because I think another team's just going to be able to pay more, a team with more salary cap space, Arizona, Indianapolis, someone like that. Anyone saying it's impossible or flat out saying it's not going to happen with Miami signing Willis is jumping the gun. If Sullivan and Halfley are dead set on signing Malik Willis, they will make it happen. They will move heaven and earth to do so. And nothing said at a press conference in February should be taken as gospel or read into to reach any conclusions. Okay. Now, trying to make the math work with the dead cap hit they're about to take with Tua Tagovailoa is going to be difficult, but it ain't impossible. And I know fans and people in the media, they can debate whether Miami should sign someone like Willis or not because he's a bit unproven and he carries more than a little risk here. But that's a football debate. That's about skill, talent, and how good a player truly is and can be. This conversation isn't about that. This conversation is, do John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley want Malik Willis? And will they, spend the necessary money to make it happen? We all saw what Sullivan said on Tuesday and what he said since he's got this job. And again, I warn people, talk is cheap because when it's decision time, legal tampering, March 9th, the official start of free agency, March 11th at 4 p.m., everything said prior to then is bullshit because that's when the rubber meets the road. That's when these people feel the pressure or, they have second thoughts. You know what? We could get this guy cheaper, but I feel more comfortable with my guy that I know. And that's when people start to get wishy-washy. Some general managers don't, and they're steadfast in their beliefs, and they never change. Others do. We don't know John Eric Sullivan, first year in this job. But to think that there's no chance Willis ends up in Miami is being naive and a little bit closed-minded at this juncture. I think there's a chance. It's unlikely. I will say it's unlikely. I don't think he's going to end up here, but there is a chance, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple of weeks. There's been a lot of rumors about Arizona's willing to pay whatever to get him, and maybe they will. We'll see. But there's other teams, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, and of course Miami, as well as some others. We will know what they do and what the real offers are, not speculation offers that are out there now. So we will see. All right. For those of you watching this show on YouTube, do me a favor, smash that like button right now. Smash it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tonight, 9 p.m., Fish Tank Live. Seth Levitt, OJ McDuffie, Chris Perkins, Savak, and Chad Van Horn. The crew will be live here at the DolphinsTalk YouTube channel. Check them out. Fish Tank Live, very interactive show. You want to be watching live on YouTube if you can, put up the comments. If you can't be there live, that's okay. It'll drop in audio form pretty much right when the show's over, and you can watch it in our YouTube archives. Also, super chats are open on the show. I should have said this at the start, but that thing popped up on the screen, and I got all flustered. Super chats are open right now if you're live on YouTube. Leave me a super chat, and I will respond to it before the end of the show. Also, Dolphins Talk Extra. We have a interactive happy hour show this Friday night, Josh, Aaron, and myself, where you can come on the show with us. You got to sign up, though, to Dolphins Talk Extra, $5 a month. Patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. We got contests, prizes, a private message board, bonus podcasts, some about the Dolphins, some not about the Dolphins. And we have interactive shows where you can join us on the podcast, Patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. All right, final topic here, John Eric Sullivan. The more I hear John Eric Sullivan speak, the more I think this guy is counting down the days to the NFL draft like a kid counts down the days until Christmas. It can't arrive soon enough for the new Miami Dolphins general manager. Listening to Sullivan's press conference at the NFL Scouting Combine, it is crystal clear. This guy has a plan, and it's all centers around the NFL draft. He's already run off Hill, Chubb, James Daniel, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine for either being too old, too injured, or not worth their contract. He's openly yelling from the rooftop trying to trade Minka and Tua. He wouldn't even slam the door on possibly trading A-Chain and Waddle. He says that they're both important parts of the franchise. He's not out there shopping them, but I'll listen to all offers, which is code for I'll trade them if you send me the right offer. He even gave away, like I said, his draft strategy, but he wants to take a quarterback. He wants tall wide receivers. He wants to build from the inside out. Like with John Eric Sullivan, I've learned real quick, no smoke screens, no bullshit. After 9 years of Chris Greer as a general manager, it is really refreshing to hear a general manager who A, values the draft, and B, clearly has a plan to attack the draft. I do not know if John Eric Sullivan is good at drafting, but goddamn, he sure as hell is excited about it. He gets an A for enthusiasm when it comes to the draft. And again, that is what this organization has needed. Because Chris Greer Mike Tannenbaum, and Jeff Ireland all learned under the Bill Parcells tree, where they all damn near shared a brain and had the same philosophy. Spoiler alert, it failed. Sullivan comes from an entirely different mindset, and it's time for the Miami Dolphins to try something totally different. What did the owner say about a year ago? Status quo isn't good enough, blah, blah, blah. Well, John Eric Sullivan is anything but status quo. He has arrived in South Florida and shaken up the Miami Dolphins organization like a snow globe. It's a new way of doing business, and I love every second of it. Will it work in the end? I don't know. Will Sullivan be a successful general manager over the next few years and turn this thing around? Beats me, can't tell you. What I can tell you is the Dolphins made the right hire, and this new approach was the right way to go. I swear to God, John Eric Sullivan loves the draft more than Joey Chestnut loves hot dogs. And come late April, those 3 days in late April, the NFL draft, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, I got a message to all Dolphins fans. Get the popcorn, change all the batteries in the remote so you're not leaving your couch, and put on a seatbelt. Because I think John Eric Sullivan is going to be a wheeling and dealing fool, trading back and acquiring more picks in this year's draft and starting to stockpile picks in next year's draft. This guy gets it. He gets it. This is the approach that the successful NFL teams have. And you listen to this guy talk, he drives home the point. Draft, and more draft. I need more picks. He actually said his media session, I am likely to trade down, unlikely to trade up. He didn't give a round, just in general philosophy. Trade down, not trade up. Need more picks. Because, he wants to draft and develop. And that's how you get the right people in here. That's how you build a team. And, this year might be rough. No one's lying about that. 2026 might not be a great year for the Dolphins. Might be a lot of losing. With that said, though, 2027 might be a little better. 2028 might be really good if this guy can draft well. Look, here's the deal. The bar's set really bleeping low. He can't draft worse than Chris Greer, okay? Even if he's 25% better than Chris Greer, he's going to get some real good players in here, okay? So I am really excited about John Eric Sullivan. Once again, he did a lot of interviews yesterday. Get him out of the way at the start of the combine. He had a press conference. Met with Rich Eisen with Halfley for 20 minutes, and then he did an interview with SiriusXM NFL Radio. Those are all up on my Twitter feed at Dolphins Talk. I implore you, if you haven't heard them yet, listen. Halfley also did 12 to 13 minutes by himself with Mike Florio. Listen to that as well. Again, I don't know if these guys will be successful, but they're saying the right things, and they're coming off like they have a plan. They're going to implement their plan, and as fans, all we can do is hope the plan works. All right. That's all for today's show. Again, tonight, Wednesday night, Fish Tank Live here at DolphinsTalk.com, YouTube channel, interactive show. Make sure you're here at about 9 o'clock Eastern time. Get in the chat. Chat it up with OJ McDuffie, Seth Levitt, Chris Perkins, Chad Van Horn, Savak, and the gang. Also, make sure you go to DolphinsTalk.com. We got a ton of new articles up. Simon Clancy wrote an awesome article about some of his thoughts from the combine thus far and what the Miami Dolphins have said. So great article there. I know Tom Ernestey, he's got an article that's going to go up later today with some guys that keep an eye on at the combine and might be a fit for Miami. A lot of great stuff up. So go to DolphinsTalk.com. Make sure you're following us on social media at Dolphins Talk, at Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and all that good stuff. And TikTok. Got to follow on TikTok. And that's it. Everyone have a great Wednesday night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow night as I'll be back with another show. Got a special guest tomorrow. And remember, when you're out on the road, driving around, please be sure that we put an end to highway profanity.